Legislators have strongly condemned President Joe Biden's administration for agreeing to plea bargains that allow 3 of the 9/11 conspirators, including mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, to evade execution. Under these arrangements by the Pentagon's Office of Military Commissions, the terrorists admitted to war crimes in return for life sentences without parole. This move has been criticized by figures like Representative Mike Lawler. He stated, "This is an abomination. The fact that Joe Biden allowed these plea deals to happen on his watch is unforgivable. Despite a military judge's decision to uphold these plea deals, there's widespread anger among conservative commentators and on social media, viewing this as a grave error in the fight against terrorism." And look, here we are dealing with terrorism once again. So for those of you that don't know, President Biden made arrangements for the 3 terrorists that killed 3,000 Americans on 9/11 to escape the death penalty. So they got to kill 3,000 Americans and then they get to live in prison for the rest of their life. I cannot believe what he did. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree or disagree with Biden's decision? Now, interestingly enough, while President Biden is largely against the death penalty, one of the few crimes he agreed should be punished by death penalty is terrorism. Now, if this is true, why is he allowing these 3 men who committed one of the most evil acts in world history to escape the death penalty? It makes no sense. I mean, does this guy love terrorists or what? This is crazy to me. Now, unfortunately, terrorism is still a huge issue we are dealing with in America. During the New Year's celebration in New Orleans, alleged killer Shamsuddin Jabbar deliberately drove his vehicle into a crowd, resulting in mass casualties. The death count is now up to 15 people, and he has definitely been linked to an ISIS terror cell. In fact, just this evening, they released photos of his house where he has prayer rugs and the Quran and other things. He also was flying an ISIS flag on the back of his rented electric truck. So not only did he bring this flag, but he connected it to whoever's truck he rented through the Turo app. This is disgusting to me. And yet there are members of our government that are trying to say this had nothing to do with the Muslims. This had nothing to do with jihad. This had nothing to do with ISIS. This isn't even terrorism. This is just an American citizen gone rogue. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. This is crazy to me. Now, I want to thank you guys so much for always liking and supporting this channel. When you hit that like button, it tells YouTube and Rumble to share this with others. So if you could go ahead and do that, I would really appreciate it. Now, according to the FBI Deputy Assistant Christopher Raya, Jabbar originally planned to harm his friends and family. However, he believed it wouldn't send the correct message that this is a war between the believers and the non-believers. Raya stated there are 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped, beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m. In his first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers. Now, additionally, he stated that he had joined ISIS before this summer. So here we have a newly inducted ISIS terrorist living in the homeland, and now there's worries that there are even more. In fact, just this morning, the FBI raided a home in Virginia that had over 150 homemade bombs. Now, in response to the news, President-elect Donald Trump stated, "When I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turns out to be true." Now, he went on to say that this was a disgusting act of violence and that it's obvious that there is pure evil in America and it needs to be rooted out. However, will the police be allowed to do their job? The thing that makes me the most angry, besides the fact that 15 Americans are dead and dozens more are injured, is now this guy gets talked about over and over again. And even I'm contributing to this by telling you guys, it's one of those things where it's like, I hate promoting this guy. At the same time, it's a big news story, so it has to be done. Now, this is just heartbreaking. While the New Orleans has a long history of violence, terrorism is not common. It's not okay that this is happening in America. We need to secure our border, and we need to figure out, how do we figure out where these terrorist cells are around the United States of America? And on top of that, we send a signal to the world that people like Khalid Mohammed, the orchestrator of 9/11, is allowed to get away with killing 3,000 Americans. There needs to be consequences for this kind of terrorism. Now, if it wasn't terrifying enough, as you know, there was an explosion outside of the Trump hotel in Las Vegas with a Tesla Cybertruck. What we know now is that Matthew Livelsberger was a Green Beret. He was also a bomb specialist. What's really strange, though, is he put together a very simple bomb. He then buried it inside of one of the most protected vehicles, a Tesla Cybertruck. And then on top of that, he killed himself before the bomb went off by shooting himself in the head with a shotgun. So more needs to come out about this, but this is absolutely crazy. And Elon Musk has said that his data experts have confirmed that this was a bomb on the inside and had nothing to do with the Cybertruck. He's now threatening to sue the mainstream media for saying that this had something to do with the Tesla Cybertruck. It was, in fact, a bomb based off all of the telemetry and data that they were able to gather from the Cybertruck outside of the Trump hotel. Now, oddly enough, both suspects served at Fort Bragg. And shockingly, Fort Bragg was also the same military base where Ryan Routh, the second Trump assassin, visited over 100 times before trying to assassinate Donald Trump at his golf course. Now, I'm not sure if there's a connection between the two killers and the second assassin. We're going to have to get more data. But unfortunately, I feel like we're not getting the full story here, which is frustrating to me because we want the truth. Now, maybe more and more will come out, but have you noticed how these stories kind of come and go? I mean, we're not even talking about the guy who tried to kill President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania anymore. It just kind of glossed over. We've forgotten and moved on. All right. Now, with that being said, this is another sad day. President Joe Biden has announced that he has given the Presidential Citizens Medal Award to Representative Benny Thompson and former House Representative Liz Cheney of Wyoming. Both of them investigated the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Both of them covered up evidence, lied to the American people. Liz Cheney, we know for a fact, did witness intimidation and spoke with a witness without her attorney present. And then they both destroyed evidence before the last day of the investigation. So we're probably never going to know the absolute truth. But when this kind of evil is done, you hope that justice will be served and that the truth will come out. And instead, these people are awarded. They're like literally given one of the highest awards a president can give to a U.S. citizen. Now, American journalist Brit Hume stated on X, "This is repulsive. That investigation was done by a committee, all of whose members were chosen by Nancy Pelosi, and was produced like a TV show. There was no cross-examination of witnesses. The media fell for it, but it was utterly one-sided, a show trial." So Biden has literally just awarded Liz Cheney, a war hawk and a sore loser, the highest citizen medal for turning on her own party. He said that this was choosing country over party, and that's why she's a hero in his eyes. But she's not a hero. She literally lied to the American people. She destroyed evidence. She did witness tampering. All the things that go against what true justice is in America and then gets an award. It's just crazy to me. Now, thankfully, Biden's own supporters are starting to see that he's just a wolf in sheep's clothing. Donald Trump has made such a great impression that even prominent Democrat donor John Morgan has deferred to Donald Trump as an effing genius for his ability to defeat Democrats in the 2024 presidential election. In an interview, John Morgan, the lawyer, told Politico, "I don't know if Trump is a stable genius, but he is an effing genius. He tapped into something the Republicans never saw, which was anger and populism on that side." Now, according to Open Secrets, John Morgan, founder of the law firm Morgan & Morgan, has donated hundreds of thousands of dollars into the Democrat campaign, including the Harris campaign. In an interview with News Nation's featuring Chris Cuomo, Morgan stated, "Remember the movie Mad Max when everybody just doing whatever they wanted, end of the world? That's what happened here. All of a sudden, everybody's got the key to the candy store. Ad buyers, talent, consultants. There's 100 days to do it. And the money started pouring in, pouring in, pouring in." He stated, "Remember this, Chris, it wasn't pouring in for Harris. It was pouring in against Trump. Everybody that was voting and supporting Harris was actually voting against Donald Trump." Bravo to this guy for telling the truth and also observing the truth. This is true. Now, when they say that she received over 65 million votes, that's not true. It's that millions of people voted against Donald Trump. That's what John Morgan is saying, right? So Trump is a genius. He is. He beat all of the corruption, the fake news media, the legacy media, $2.5 billion in campaign spending. He beat them all, and he won the popular vote and the electoral vote. Now, everything the Democrats have done, from the assassination attempts to having the largest donor fund, has all fueled Trump's landslide victory. Okay, now, researchers at Leiden University Medical Center, backed by funding from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, have developed a controversial method to combat malaria by turning mosquitoes into flying vaccinators. This technique involves genetically modified mosquitoes that, when they bite humans, actually delivers a malaria vaccine. I'm telling you, the more I learn about Bill Gates, the more I realize this guy is Dr. Victor Frankenstein. I mean, this guy is a monster with really weird ideas, and he pretends to care about humanity when in reality he's a eugenist who wants to destroy humanity and lower the human population. Now, according to a study published by the New England Journal of Medicine, the approach was tested on 43 adults who had no prior history of malaria, showing that 8 out of 9 participants in the group receiving bites from the mosquito with the modified GA2 parasite were protected against malaria infection. Shigeto Yoshida, a researcher who previously worked on a similar concept, commented, "Vaccination by insect is just like a conventional vaccine, but with no pain and no cost." This is so weird. I cannot believe I have to cover this stuff. Literally, they're genetically modifying mosquitoes to now help Big Pharma inject the human population with their vaccine. It's so weird, you guys. I'm not sure how I feel about this. On the one hand, it may be the smartest thing ever. On the other hand, it's connected to Bill Gates, who I consider to be an incredibly evil human being. Now, on the other side of the world, Ukraine and Russia are still struggling to keep up with all of the tension going on between the two countries. Ukraine has put an end to the transit of Russian gas to Europe, marking a significant shift in energy dynamics as a long-standing agreement lapsed. This cessation, which came into effect on New Year's Day, has left countries like Moldova in a precarious position as we head into colder weather. Prior to the 2022 invasion by Russia, The nation supplied 40% of EU's gas pipeline. Ukraine's energy minister, Herman Hulashchenko, stated, "This is a historic event. Russia is losing market and will incur financial losses," emphasizing the impact of this decision. The move forces European nations to accelerate their shift towards alternative energy sources, including LNG, liquefied natural gas, from Norway, Qatar, and yes, the United States. Before the war in 2022, Russia was the biggest supplier of Europe. Now, Europe is looking for gas to come from other countries like the United States. Now, wouldn't that be something if one day we discover the truth that Biden destroyed the Nord Stream 2 pipeline and now has forced Europe to become dependent on the United States of America for all of their oil and gas? Unbelievable if that is the truth. All right, now the Russia-Ukraine war continues to rage forward. We have not figured out who has been leaking Trump's plans to Russia and Ukraine, but they need to figure that out because Donald Trump needs all of the cards in order to end this war, end the killing, and quit sending all of our hard-earned tax money over to the people of Ukraine. As of yesterday, the Biden administration announced that just before President Trump is sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, that they will send another $6 billion of taxpayer funds over to Ukraine. Again, North Ukraine is getting more attention than North Carolina, and to me, that is disgusting. Hey, thank you guys for stopping by. Please give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, and I will